Welcome to the Tennis Warehouse shoe review of the Roger Pro Fire. Designed to withstand the grind of hardcourt tennis, the Roger Pro Fire features a stable and supportive ride with added durability needed for players who slide on hard courts. The midsole features On's signature speed board that enhances support and stability while keeping these shoes feeling fast and flexible. The upper has increased TPU protection around the toes and medial side, while the upper eyelets are concealed to prevent breakage on hard court slides. The forefoot provides a low to the court ride for a speedy, connected feel, while the rubber outsole is formed into a decoupled herringbone pattern for superb traction and durability.
The Roger Pro Fire was a great playtest shoe for me. It started out as a shoe that I liked and grew by the end of the playtest to be a shoe that I virtually loved. Now there was only one thing missing from this shoe. I'll get to that in a moment, but let's first talk about the superlatives. The stability and support of this shoe was outstanding. I'm sure the low to the ground stance kind of assisted with that and made me feel very connected to the court. Directional changes were easy to come by, felt very safe diving into shots and accelerating out of. Traction, unlike a lot of other shoes, starts out a little sticky. The Roger Pro Fire started out great and ended up great all the way through the finish line of this playtest. And the upper, in conjunction with that nice low to the ground profile, really complemented the stability and overall support of the shoe. We play tested this shoe during the hotter summer months. I never once felt overheated. And as promised, the only thing missing from this shoe was a little extra padding underneath my toes. I would call the midsole cushioning under the heel sufficient or even better than sufficient, but there was something a little missing in terms of comfort in the front of the shoe. Overall, the Roger Pro Fire is one of the better playtest shoes I've reviewed to date.
The Roger Pro Fire is On's pinnacle performance shoe for me. Way more support and stability here than I've had from previous On tennis shoes. Really like the way my foot sat low down in this shoe. I felt like I was moving very well, especially laterally. Felt well supported, getting a nice stability on an aggressive lateral cut and low enough to the court where I really felt connected to my movement out there. Durability wise, the uppers are holding up pretty well. I drag over the top of the shoe on my left foot, and I'm seeing some wear there, but the shoe's held up for the month-long playtest, no problem. And then underneath my right foot, under my big toe, is my highest wear area on the outsole. I'm seeing quite a bit of smoothing there as well. The tread's gone and the outsole's smooth, but again, there's still plenty of rubber to keep me connected to the court. Cushioning-wise, very minimal in the forefoot. I like that court feel, a little bit more in the heel just to take the sting out of those tough landings, but I say this is more of a performance shoe than an outright just comfortable ride shoe like some of the previous On shoes. Fit and feel was great, opened up nicely after break-in. As Booney mentioned, the fit does expand. I found it a little snug on the first wear, but after it broke in, felt great. Love the breathability, so 2 thumbs up for me on this one.
After seeing these shoes teased for months, I was actually really excited to get them on court myself, and I was really impressed with how they played. Just an overall fantastic shoe from all areas. Really enjoyed the durability. I think that would be my biggest standout area of performance. Really impressive outsole in terms of how well it held up over time. And I do feel like these sit very nicely in between the Roger Pro 2s and the Roger Advantage Pros. I think that these are much more accessible, much more user-friendly for the wide majority of audiences. So if you're curious about the On feeling just on court, I think this is just a great place to start. Really like the sort of like flatter chassis that this is working with. It doesn't necessarily feel as conducive for rolling off the balls of your feet or pivoting off your toes as quickly for me personally. But that being said, if you like that sort of sturdier, flatter movement, I do think that's where these are gonna help you out. And I didn't really notice any issues or drawbacks when it came to speed or getting to a drop shot. Just really good for covering the court effectively. And one of the better shoes that I've seen this year. I don't think it's my current shoe of choice, but it would be my current shoe of choice from On.
The first thing I noticed with this Roger Pro Fire, also something I noticed with the Advantage Pro, was the fit. Now for me, I'm sometimes in between a 9.5 and a 10. And so I had a 9.5 in this shoe and it ran very snug for me in the length. I also think it had something to do with the toe box. It kind of is shallow at the tip with the TPU there. So for the playtest, I had to wear really thin socks to make this one work. think if I did it again, I would probably go up a half size so I could wear like a thicker crew. But beyond that, I definitely noticed some of the positives here. This is a performance shoe. It's low to the ground. The traction's great. The rubber outsole, I really felt like I was on the balls of my feet. And when I was moving side to side from the baseline, very, very connected. But for me though, I do like more cushioning in my shoes. If you watch any of these shoe reviews, I tend to prefer a plusher, thicker cushion. So if I was going with an on shoe, I'd probably go with the Advantage Pro just for the comfort. But for those players out there that are really speedy, out there sliding, slamming on the brakes on a hard court, maybe turning the shoe over on the medial side and dragging, I can see how this can be a really good shoe because it does feel fast, it does feel stable and supportive. But for me, for a hard court shoe, I tend to prefer something maybe like a CT Rally or an Ultra Shot that just gives me that plusher feel under the balls of my feet. And that wraps up our shoe review of the Roger Pro Fire. For more information on these shoes or anything tennis related, be sure to head to Tennis Warehouse, Tennis Warehouse Europe, or Tennis Only. On the Roger Pro Fire, 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 fire. Low-key fire.